Now before we get completely into how to rig things, I just want to show a couple of ways to model clothing on the Toddleedoo Body, and the way that I model clothing, which is the way that I learned. Now I'm sure there's many different ways to model the clothing using different shapes and just pushing things around. So I'm just going to hide the skeleton for now so I can get it out of the way. Now today I don't have the little thing that I had up with the mouse and the keyboard shortcuts. I found the last time I noticed that a lot of the shortcuts weren't even coming up on there, so I decided just not to use them. I'm just gonna re-go over whatever I'm doing. I'll say what I'm pressing, unless of course you already know it, like moving the camera and all those sorts of things from the first lesson, and if you've been playing around in Blender, you'll probably be used to a lot of those by now. Okay, so now my cursor is centered, I'm going to add mesh cylinder. And as you can see, the top is filled in, so I'm just going to change this over here before I move anything to nothing, so it's empty. And then I'm just going to move it up, and I'm just going to scale it in, so S for scale. I'm just going to scale it down until it's roughly about the, just a bit wider than the width of the hips, and I'm just going to bring it up like this. Okay, and then I'm going to scale it on the Z axis, so S for scale, Z, scale it down that way, and I'm just going to bring it up here. Now what we're going to use, so it's nicely fitted around the torso area, we're going to go to the modifiers panel here, and we're going to choose shrink wrap. Okay, now what this does is it's going to shrink wrap it to the Toddleedoo Body. So we're going to right click first off on our Toddleedoo Body, and down here it'll say what the name of our Toddleedoo Body object is, so upper female 004. So we want to shrink wrap to that one. So we're going to go target, and we're going to scroll down past all these bits and pieces and go upper female 004. And it looks kind of crazy to begin with, because at the moment, if we go into edit mode, we only have 2 rows of vertices, so it's trying to shrink wrap the top row in as best as it can and the bottom one. So we need to add in some edge loops. So we'll do Control and R, and we'll do, let's say, 14 edge loops. Okay, and we'll just left click again. Now we can see it's in, but it's like kind of cutting in a little bit. So the other settings we need to change is we need to change over here from nearest surface point to project, and make sure both positive and negative are ticked. And as you can see, the bottom's kind of flaring out now a little bit funny, because that part is overlaying onto the bottom mesh. So we'll right click on that, and note for some reason it's called upper female 001 even though it's lower. So we go back to our mesh, and down the bottom here we can choose a secondary target to shrink wrap to. So we'll scroll down, and so upper female 001. Now it's shrink wrap to both of those things, but again it's clipping through a little bit, so we want to change this offset. This to 0.03, say. And I'll bring it out a little bit. Now it leaves a little bit of a gap in there, but that's fine. We don't want to bring it in too close, because it's going to start clipping through, and it's going to start clipping through a lot more when we actually start getting it to rig and move. So once it starts being rigged and we're wanting it to start moving with the body, it'll come in a little bit closer in some places to the body. So we don't want to make it like skin tight, because then it's going to be troublesome later on. Now while we still have the shrink wrap modifier on, we can tab to edit mode, and as you can see it's still a cylinder at this point, we haven't applied it. Now if we want to get a nice shape, because obviously tops don't cut in right like this, so I'm going to Alt and right click this bottom edge loop, and I'm going to just bring it down a little bit, and I'm going to rotate on the X axis, so R for rotate X. I'm just going to bring it around like that. Now as you can see, I'm using the connected turned on so that all my vertices are moving evenly. I'm just going to bring it around like this, just so it has that little bit more of a natural curve around the belly. And we can do the same for the top, rotate X axis and just bring it around and up a little. Okay, that's good. So that's the rough shape, and then after that you need to manually bring it over the shoulders. This is good for doing obviously tops, skirts down to about here, and then you need to do the skirt the rest of the way. So we're going to apply that now. Okay, and then we will go tab to go into edit mode, and now you can see all the vertices are in place like we made them. So I'm going to grab some vertices from here across to here, and to do that just right click and control and click across to select all the vertices across there, and I'm just going to extrude on the Z axis and bring it up and just bring it in slightly. Oh, we still have connected on, so let's turn that off, disable, bring it in, extrude on the Z axis, bring it over, extrude Z, and we just keep repeating that. As you see, as we come in, this clips a little bit, so what I normally do is I scale on the Y axis just to shallow it out a little bit, so when I bring it in, it's not clipping in as much. Now obviously it takes a little bit of adjusting, moving vertices across to be able to get it over, so I'm going to pause while I do that and come back because it is a little time consuming. Okay, so I just want to come back now because I've got the back and the front up and over, and I just want to show you how you join them off at the top. So I have roughly shown this, the merging vertices, and I'll just show it again. So you right click the 2 points that you want to join together, and then Alt and M, and then in this case I would just do at center, so it merges them at the center. I'll just pull that up so it's not hiding in the body. So right click, Shift and right click, and then Alt and M, and at center. And we do that to merge them all together. Okay, a couple more. There we go. Now this looks very rough, but we'll be able to smooth it out in sculpting mode shortly. Okay, now the next thing we want to look at is the neckline, because obviously necklines are not all square like this. Oftentimes you want to have like a rounded neckline. So what I normally do is I explained to you about pressing G, and G is your move shortcut, but if you press G twice, you can actually slide a vertex along an edge. So if we press GG here, yes, good game, we can slide down here. Okay, and it's very handy for rounding out necklines, because we can actually grab one here and go GG and bring it up here, and then GG and slide it down here. GG, slide, GG, slide. Okay, and we can start rounding out, and then we want to just bring these ones in a little bit just so it's not quite so crazy like this. Okay, just to smooth it out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay, so we've got everything nice and smoothed out now, and I'll show you how to do the sleeves. So it's as simple as Alt right clicking this entire loop, and then we're just going to extrude on the X axis and drag it out here. We're just going to bring it up a little. Now it's a little bit low here, so we're just going to scale on the Z axis and bring it up. We're just going to do that until it fits a little bit better. So scale on the Y axis, bring it in here. And I still have connected on. I'm going to leave that on just for now. Oops, these ones are starting to clip in, so I'm just going to grab these two. You can click through. So I'm leaving that on because I'm just going to slowly adjust my circle just to bring it out a little bit. Now we don't need to be too perfect because, as I said, we're going to be smoothing it out with the sculpting tool shortly. But I'll just bring in these bits just a little bit so we can get a bit of a nicer shape happening around. Alright. and then extrude on the x-axis again. Now as we go along, obviously we want it to start to straighten out so it's even along with the arm. So what we can do is we can, with our edge selected, scale on the x-axis, and we start to make, so if we go all the way in, it would straighten it out completely, but it's going to make it really strange if this part is really long between these edges and this one's going to be super short. So we just want to do it slowly so it's not quite so big of a difference all at once. So we're just going to scale in again, so S for scale, scaling in, and then we'll just drag it across up a little bit. Okay, scale Z. I'm not going to worry about it clipping in a little bit here, that's fine, we'll bring that out a little bit after. Again, extrude x-axis and bring this across. Okay, we're going to scale on the x-axis, shallow it out a little bit more, and then scale in this way. Okay. Okay, so now we have a very nice sleeve.